Ever scroll through your feed and think, hold on, is that influencer legit? Or seen those crypto ads that promise you'll be rich tomorrow? Like, what if it's real, right?
Right.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of someone who's made it his job to expose the dark side of the internet, the scams and all that.
Yeah.
Coffeeezilla.
Coffeeezilla.
Have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah, I've seen his videos. He's got this whole investigative journalist thing going on.
Exactly. He doesn't just rant about stuff. He actually gets into it, like digging into records and all that.
Real deep dives, yeah.
His real name is Stephen Feindeisen, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, he's not just saying, this looks sketchy. He's proving it. Like with public records, financial statements, even talking to people involved.
And he puts it all together in these documentary-style videos.
Yeah, and that's what makes him so believable, right? You actually see the evidence, hear from the people who got scammed.
It's not just someone ranting. It was funny, too. Oh, yeah, he's got that dry humor. Makes it kind of entertaining, even though the topics can be pretty heavy.
Yeah, because let's be real, financial investigations, not exactly known for being, exciting, you know what I mean?
Not typically, no.
Yeah.
But Coffeeezilla, he makes it accessible, you know? Like we're solving the mystery with him.
Okay, so let's talk about what Coffeeezilla is best known for.
Okay.
The scams.
Oh, yeah, the scams.
And he's exposed a ton, from shady cryptocurrency stuff to influencers pushing products that are totally bogus.
It's like he's seen it all.
He pretty much has. So let's start with cryptocurrency.
Makes sense. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah, those scams. They prey on the hype, right?
Totally. That promise of crazy profits.
But it often leaves people with nothing.
Holding the bag, yeah. He's investigated those pump and dump schemes,
Oh, yeah. For those who don't know, it's like scammers. They get together and buy a ton of a certain cryptocurrency all at once.
Right.
To artificially inflate the price.
Yeah, create that buzz on social media. Everyone jumps in thinking it's the next big thing.
And then they sell off their holdings when the price is high, leaving everyone else with, worthless coins.
Classic bump and dump.
Totally. And he's also exposed those misleading ICOs.
Initial coin offerings. Those are like crowdfunding campaigns for new crypto projects.
Exactly. But sometimes they're just elaborate schemes to take people's money.
And they sound so convincing, all this jargon and promises of revolutionizing whatever industry.
And we can't forget about the whole NFT craze.
Oh, the NFTs. Those were wild.
Coffeeezilla has exposed a bunch of NFT projects that, they promised all this exclusive access, future profits.
Utility, they called it.
Yeah, utility.
Yeah.
But then they delivered, nothing.
Leaving people with digital tokens that are basically worthless.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, whether it's cryptocurrency, these NFTs, or even, just regular investments,
Yeah.
Coffeezilla is always saying, do your research.
Do your research, yeah.
That's key. Before you put your money into anything, especially online, take the time to understand what you're actually investing in.
Yeah, look, are the companies registered with the SEC? Check for reviews, don't just take someone's word for it.
Exactly.
Speaking of taking someone's word for it, Coffeeezilla also goes after those influencers. The ones who use their platform to push products or opportunities that are, questionable.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes it's even celebrities. It's mind-blowing.
It's like, did they really fall for this, or are they just in it for the money? Coffeeezilla has exposed cases where they're pushing fake weight loss stuff, crypto courses that teach you nothing.
Targeting their young followers who probably trust them.
It's that betrayal of trust that really gets me. You follow this person, they seem genuine, you think they have your best interests in mind.
And then it turns out, nope, they're just trying to make a quick buck.
Promoting something they probably don't even believe in themselves.
Right. And the consequences can be pretty bad. People lose money, they feel betrayed, and it just erodes that trust in the online world.
Yeah. I think that's why Coffeezilla's work is so important.
Totally.
He's not just calling out these individuals, he's highlighting the dangers of blindly following anyone online.
Reminding us to actually think critically.
But Coffeeezilla doesn't just focus on the flashy stuff, the crypto and influencer world. He also gets into those classic scams.
The ones that have been around forever.
Like Ponzi schemes and those fake investment programs.
The OGs of scams.
They're still around because they work. They prey on that desire we all have, to be financially secure.
Especially those who are more vulnerable, right?
Absolutely. There was this one case Coffeeezilla uncovered. It involved this fake investment program targeting retirees.
Oh, no.
Yeah, promising them guaranteed return. They just wanted to grow their savings.
Makes sense.
But it ended up costing them everything.
That's heartbreaking.
It was. But the way Coffeezilla breaks down these schemes shows how they draw people in, create this illusion of success.
This is eye-opening.
It is. It helps us understand how they work so we can be better at spotting those red flags.
And avoid them.
Right. And it's not just the money people lose, it's the emotional impact,
It can be really damaging.
So damaging. In addition to losing their savings, people feel shame, guilt, like they were stupid for falling for it.
Right, but it's important to remember that these scammers, they're pros.
They're masters of manipulation. They know how to play on people's psychology.
Exactly, and that's why Coffeezilla's work is so important.
He helps us understand how these scams work, and, he encourages empathy for those who have been victims.
Which is so important. So we've talked about crypto scams, those influencer ones, Ponzi schemes. But Coffeezilla, he also investigates shady business practices.
Yeah.
Things like false advertising, fraudulent crowdfunding campaigns, things that affect, just regular consumers.
Like, it's not just about losing money. It's about being lied to, losing trust. He's exposed companies that use these, tricky marketing tactics.
Yeah.
They prey on people's fears and insecurities, pushing products that don't actually work.
Right, and he's found crowdfunding campaigns that are totally fake.
Exploiting people's generosity.
Raising money for projects that never happen.
And it makes you question, corporate responsibility, We need more transparency online.
We do. I think the takeaway here is that these scams can be anything. They can affect anyone.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to make money or just looking for a good deal online, you got to be careful. Coffeezilla reminds us to think critically, do our research, especially online.
So Coffeezilla is like this watchdog exposing all these scams.
Mm-hmm.
But how does he actually do it? How does he find the truth?
He's like an internet Sherlock Holmes.
Right. He's got this whole method. It's fascinating. It all starts with research, but we're not talking just Googling stuff.
No, he goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
Public records, financial statements, social media posts, even digging through online forums and chats. Nothing gets past him.
It's like he's putting together a puzzle, finding every little clue.
And he doesn't just rely on what he finds online. He interviews people, victims, people involved in the scams.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes even the scammers themselves.
It's like getting a first-hand account of how it all went down. And those interviews, they're so powerful. You see the impact these scams have on real people.
Absolutely. They add so much to his investigations.
And you see how the scammers think, which is kind of disturbing.
A little bit, yeah. But he doesn't stop there. He's obsessed with fact-checking.
Oh, he's all about the facts.
Before he shares anything with his millions of viewers, he wants to be absolutely sure.
Gotta make sure it's accurate.
So he checks everything, talks to experts, makes sure his sources are legit.
And he's transparent about it.
Oh, yeah. He often includes links to his sources right in his videos.
So people can check for themselves.
It's all about empowering people to be critical thinkers, not just blindly believing everything they see online.
Yeah, you might think Coffeezilla is like this lone wolf, just exposing scams one by one.
Yeah.
But he's actually really strategic about how he uses his platform.
He's trying to make a real difference.
Exactly, to make the internet a safer place.
He wants to educate people.
Right.
Yeah.
He uses his videos to, teach people about common scam tactics, those red flags.
So they can protect themselves.
And he calls out the scammers directly.
Oh, yeah. He's not afraid to confront them.
Demands that they take responsibility, make things right.
He's become this voice for the victims.
He is calling for more transparency, more regulation in these industries.
Especially finance and that whole influencer marketing world.
And his work has gotten results. He's helped victims get their money back,
That's great.
Put pressure on platforms to, take action against these scammers.
He's even gotten law enforcement involved in some cases.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. He's really a force for justice online. He's showing that even though it feels like the internet's this Wild West,
Yeah.
truth and accountability, they can prevail.
So we've covered a lot about Coffeezilla's mission, how he does his investigations, the kinds of scams he exposes. But what I find really incredible is the impact he's had on his viewers.
It's huge.
He's got this massive following, and they're not just watching, they're actually learning.
And becoming more informed consumers.
Yeah. And I think his personality plays a big role in that.
Yeah, he's got that charisma.
He's funny, engaging. He makes these, complicated topics easy to understand without talking down to anyone.
He's got that perfect balance, of entertaining and educational.
Totally. He's created this community,
Yeah.
where people feel like they're learning and growing together.
And that's really powerful. It shows that people want this,
Yeah.
They want truth. They want transparency.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from crypto scams to influencer culture to Coffeezilla's whole approach to investigations.
Mm.
But what's the big takeaway here? What should our listener be thinking about after listening to this deep dive?
I think the big thing is, in this digital age, we have to be more careful about the information we consume.
Be more critical.
Exactly. Whether it's an investment opportunity, something an influencer is promoting, even just a news story, question everything. Do your research. Don't be afraid to be a little skeptical.
Because things aren't always what they seem.
Coffeezilla's work is a good reminder of that.
Yeah, and remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. And honestly, if you're ever not sure about something you see online, there's a good chance Coffeezilla's already looked into it. His YouTube channel is a great resource.
It is. But I think beyond the practical stuff, like how to avoid scams, Coffeezilla's work also makes you think about, like, human psychology, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do people fall for these scams? What makes them vulnerable?
It's a great question. And it's more than just, being naive or greedy.
There's a whole psychological side to it.
That's what we'll be getting into in the next part of our deep dive.
So stay tuned. We'll be exploring the psychology of scams, the tactics they use, the emotional impact it has on victims. It's a fascinating and often overlooked part of this whole issue.
It is. Until next time.
Until next time. Welcome back. So last time we were talking about all the crazy scams Coffeezilla has exposed, right? Crypto schemes, influencers pushing bad products, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to think, how could anyone fall for that?
Right.
But I think it's time we look at it from a different angle. Why do people actually become victims of these scams?
It's a good question. And honestly, anyone can be vulnerable.
Anyone.
Yeah, it's not about being naive. It's more about the psychology of it all,
Okay, so what makes someone more likely to fall for these schemes? What are the, psychological tricks that scammers use?
Well, one big thing is that we all want easy solutions, quick rewards.
Right, who doesn't?
We're constantly seeing messages about overnight success, getting rich quick.
Like, skip the hard work and just achieve your goals instantly, basically.
Exactly. And that creates this longing for a shortcut. And scammers, they tap into that. They promise unrealistic returns on investments or products that claim to solve all your problems effortlessly.
So it's like that whole hustle culture thing, but gone wrong.
Totally.
You see those influencers with their fancy cars and houses.
They're living the dream.
And you start thinking, maybe there's a secret formula they know that I don't.
And that's when you become vulnerable. You overlook those red flags because you want to believe it so badly.
It's not just greed, then. It's more like this deep-seated desire for easy answers.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that our emotions can play a big role, too.
So.
When we're feeling vulnerable, maybe stressed about money, health issues, lonely, whatever it is,
Makes sense.
we're more likely to make impulsive decisions.
I've seen that in a lot of Coffeezilla's videos, He exposes scams that target people who are already struggling.
That's right. When our emotions are heightened, whether it's fear, desperation, even excitement, we don't think as clearly. We're more easily persuaded, especially by those too good to be true promises.
So scammers basically prey on our emotions to get around our rational thinking.
Exactly. They know how to push our buttons, create a sense of urgency, make you feel like you have to act now or you'll miss out.
It's like a trap.
It is a psychological trap, and if you're not aware of it, it's easy to fall into.
So we've got the desire for easy solutions, emotional vulnerability. What else should we watch out for?
Social influence is a big one. We tend to trust recommendations from people we like, friends, family, people we follow online.
That's where those celebrity endorsements come in.
Oh, yeah. Seeing a famous person promoting something makes it seem more legit, right?
Definitely. But it's not just celebrities.
Yeah.
Scammers use social media to create this sense of community, like everyone's winning except you.
They use fake accounts to post positive reviews, build groups where people hype each other up about some investment.
You're creating that FOMO, right?
Exactly, that fear of missing out.
It's like they're hijacking our natural instincts to trust the people around us.
And online, it's so easy to fake that. Create fake profiles, make up evidence, the whole thing.
So we have to be skeptical of those online testimonials.
Definitely.
Always do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got to be aware of the desire for quick rewards, our own emotions, social pressure.
Right.
Anything else?
Cognitive biases are another thing scammers exploit. These are like mental shortcuts our brains use to process information quickly, but they can also lead to bad decisions.
So how do those play into scams?
Well, take confirmation bias, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's our tendency to look for information that confirms what we already believe, even if it's wrong.
So if someone already believes they can get rich quickly, they'll ignore any evidence that says otherwise.
Exactly. They'll just focus on what supports their belief,
Right.
even if it's not rational.
It's like they're in their own little bubble.
Yeah, their own echo chamber. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy. That's our tendency to stick with something, even when it's not working, just because we've already invested so much.
Oh, I've totally done that.
We all have.
And that explains those scams that drag on forever, right?
Exactly.
Victims keep putting in more money, even though it's clearly not working.
Because they've already invested so much, they feel trapped. They don't want to admit they were wrong, so they keep hoping things will turn around.
It's another one of those psychological traps.
It is, and it can be hard to break free. But it's important to remember that cutting your losses is sometimes the best option.
Now, I think it's important to talk about the impact these scams have on people, beyond just the money.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about the financial loss.
The emotional toll could be huge. People feel shame, guilt, anger, betrayed. They might blame themselves, even though, like we said, these scammers are experts at manipulation.
It's not their fault.
No, not at all.
We should never blame victims. It's really important to create a safe space for them to come forward and get help.
That's so important. They shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed to talk about it.
So what can we do? How do we protect ourselves and, the people we care about?
That's the big question, and we'll get into more specifics in the last part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But for now, I think the first step is realizing that anyone can be vulnerable.
Right.
We all have those psychological weaknesses that scammers can target.
So self-awareness is key.
It is.
Yeah.
Understanding your own tendencies, being aware of those tactics that might trigger you.
And education. Learning about how these scams actually work.
Exactly. Knowledge is power when it comes to this stuff. The more you know, the better you can protect yourself.
So it's about being proactive, not reactive.
Yes. Arming yourself with information, thinking critically, being a little skeptical. And remember, it's not just about you. It's about looking out for others, too.
The people we care about, especially those who might be more vulnerable. It's about creating a culture of awareness, sharing information, supporting each other, making the internet a safer place for everyone.
Absolutely. Because like we've seen with Coffeeezilla's work, these scams, they can really hurt people. It's our responsibility to fight back, expose the truth, and protect each other.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So we've been talking all about Coffeeezilla and his mission to expose scams. And, we've gone deep on how those scams work, the psychology behind them, all of that. But now let's talk about how we can actually protect ourselves, right? Like, what can we do?
That's the million-dollar question. And while there is no, magic bullet to completely avoid them,
Right.
there are definitely things you can do to reduce your risk.
So let's get into it. What are some practical steps people can take to stay safe online?
Well, I think the first thing is just having that healthy dose of skepticism,
Like not believing everything you see.
Exactly. Remember what Coffeeezilla always says, if it sounds too good to be true.
It probably is.
Yep. Don't let those flashy promises or, emotional appeals get to you.
It's like trust but verify, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Especially online. Don't just take someone's word for it.
So do your own research.
Always do your own research. Look for independent reviews, check credentials, and if those testimonials seem too perfect,
Yeah.
be suspicious. Scammers can fake that stuff.
They're good at it. And Coffeeezilla always talks about due diligence.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
What does that actually look like, in real life?
So due diligence is basically taking the time to really investigate before you jump into anything.
Don't rush into it.
Don't rush it. So let's say you're thinking about an investment opportunity, right?
Okay.
Don't just take the promoter's word for it. See if they're registered with, the SEC or whatever regulatory body is relevant.
Got it.
Look for analyses from reputable sources.
Not just random people online.
Exactly. And watch out for red flags,
Yeah.
like crazy high returns that seem impossible.
Or if they pressure you to invest immediately.
Yeah, this offer ends tonight. Run away.
Basically, be a detective.
Be a detective. Look for inconsistencies. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And honestly, if something feels off, trust your gut.
Yeah.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Now, let's talk about protecting, our families and friends, especially older folks or anyone who might be more vulnerable to these scams.
Yeah, that's so important.
What can we do?
I think open communication is huge.
Yeah.
Talk to them about scams explain the tactics,
Hmm.
you know, encourage them to come to you if they see something fishy.
And make them feel comfortable, right? Like they can ask questions without feeling judged.
Absolutely, because sometimes people feel embarrassed if they fell for something.
And that prevents them from getting help.
Exactly. Let them know it's okay to make mistakes, that they can come to you. You could even help them monitor their online activity, you know.
Be cautious about what they're sharing.
Yeah, make sure they have strong passwords, things like that.
Two-factor authentication, all of that good stuff. And if someone does fall victim, it's so important to be supportive, not blame them.
Definitely. It's not their fault.
Reassure them that they're not alone and that you're there to help.
You can help them report the scam to the right authorities
And even seek professional help if they need it.
because it can be really traumatic.
It can. Okay, so we've talked a lot about personal responsibility, but it seems like there needs to be a bigger change, right?
Oh, for sure. Systemically, things need to improve.
Like the platforms, the social media companies, even financial
They
institutions.
need to do more to protect people.
Stronger safeguards, actually crack down on those bad actors.
And they need to educate their users.
About the risks, yeah. We need
Yeah.
better regulations, stronger enforcement. It's got to be a team effort.
It does. It's not just on individuals. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Coffeezilla's world, the scams, the psychology, all of it,
Mm-hmm.
what's the big takeaway? What do we want our listeners to remember?
That's a good question.
I think it comes back to that idea that knowledge is power.
The more you know, the better equipped you are.
Exactly. The more we understand about scams, the tactics, the vulnerabilities they target, the better we can protect ourselves and the people we care about.
Coffeezilla has shown us the dark side of the internet, but he's also given us a way to fight back.
He has. He's shown us where the system is weak, where we're vulnerable, and that's a huge step.
And it's a reminder to stay vigilant, to be discerning, to not just believe everything you see.
To think critically. And remember, if you ever see something suspicious, report it. Don't stay silent.
Because that's how these scammers keep getting away with it.
We have to speak up, share information, hold each other accountable.
That's how we create a safer, more trustworthy online world for everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something, and more importantly, that you feel empowered to protect yourself online.
Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay safe.